Good morning, everybody. Today we get to do more Boolean stuff, more lookup stuff. I guess the theme for today would be complex decisions. And so in lab 7, the book talks about count if, sum if, and average if, but there's a plural of each one of those functions that I want to talk about. It makes it a much more useful set of functions. And then we'll talk about and, or, and not. They allow you to make even more complex decisions. They come in handy in lots of different things. And all that sort of stuff there. Okay. Typical assignment for next week, so on and so forth. All right, so let's get started. I have some data here. I know there's 100 and some rows here. Anyway, one thing you can do to make your life a little bit easier is to name these ranges. Look, if I wanted to calculate like the average of this total here, right, I'd have to do something like equals average. And then even with my keystroke shortcuts, oh, what happened? Oh, there it is. Okay, so you do that sort of stuff, right? Another approach, again, just to save you time and make your formulas a little bit easier to understand, would be to do this. So over here I'm just going to highlight that region, shift control down arrow, and go to formulas. And there's this define name. And then you can give it'll take the column header as the name for that range. And if you don't like that, you can give it a different name here, or you can just leave it as is. Okay, all right. So it does that. So now, anytime you write a formula that refers to that set of cells, all you have to do then is to say equals average of total. And you're done. Okay. So if you've got a lot of data and you're running lots of formulas for it, a named range may be a time saver for you. It also makes, like there's the average for that one, and then if we had one for price, we could have another one here that would say the average of price and total, so that when you looked at your formulas, that'd make a little bit more sense to you. Because remember last time we talked about a little bit about 3D formulas and having formulas refer to different sheets and stuff like that. So that, again, would help you here. So I could, like, on another sheet here, I could come back and do whatever I wanted to any one of these columns. But when I looked at the formula, I would remember what's in there because I took that first one away, didn't I? Just having it name, having the typical cell range doesn't tell you a lot about what's in those cells. Okay. So it's a small trick, but it's a nice trick. Anyway, enough of that. All right. So sum if, count if, average if. They all work pretty much the same. Total amount of the type sweater. So basically, we just want to look down through that column and count up the number of sweaters. Okay. So you just say equals count if, and then again and then the first part is the range. So I'm just do shift control down arrow. Whoops, I was in the wrong place. Let me try that again. Equals count if, there we go. Comma. And then what criteria you're using to determine for the counting. What are you interested in counting up? Well, in this case, it's sweaters. And since it's a character string, you have to put it in double quotes. So you just say that. Double quote. Close parentheses. Okay. Let me try typing that in right. Okay. Like that. Okay. And you can have, if you don't have a Boolean symbol there, then there's an applied equals there. You can have, well, we'll do one here in a minute with less than or greater than. We'll do all that sort of stuff. So they all work pretty much the same. There's a count if, a sum if when you want to sum up a particular range of numbers and stuff like that, and you can do stuff with it. All right. But it's the plurals that I want to talk mostly about. Okay. So how many extra large jackets are in this list, right? Excel jacket. So again, we want to count. So we'd start this off with count if equals count if this time, the plural. Because the plural is implied that you have more than one condition you're testing for. And I'm going to do this one this way. So the first criteria range, they can go in either order. So we can go with style. We'll just do style first. So we pick that range. Okay. And we said jacket here. And if you use the dialog box, it'll put quotes around character strings automatically for you. So I don't have to think about that. And then my second criteria was extra large, XL. And that's in a different column. So you highlight the column where the criteria is. And then you give it the criteria, which is XL. And so on. Okay. So you can have, I don't know what the upper limit is. It's probably 20 some different conditions. So you can really use this to count up whatever you want to do. And then you just say, okay. All right. So I'm just going to do one here with average ifs. There's a slightly difference to that one. Again, you start off with average ifs, the plural. Okay. And I can never remember which goes where, so I always use this. The average range. So this is the list of numbers that you want to calculate the average on. So that would be the total. Wait a minute. Yeah. So that would be where the total is. And notice, even though I highlighted that, it just automatically substitutes the name range in there. Yes?
Wait, what's your trick that you use to just grab all of them? Down,
Shift, Control key, down arrow. Well, if Shift Control means I want to select a certain things, and then what the arrow says go to, you hit a blank spot. So if I hit down, it takes me down to the bottom. If I hit right, it'll take me off to the right, and so on. Okay? Okay, so that's the list of numbers that we want to calculate the average on, but we don't want to use all that in that list, so we give it what criteria we want, and I keep forgetting what the criteria is here. For sweaters with a unit price less than $50. So criteria would come out of the price range. And here you just do less than 50. Okay, so you can have less than or equal to, greater than, equal to, and so on. Not equals is the less than sign followed by the greater than sign. If you want, so this is for not equals, if you ever need that one. And we got an answer here, so we've done it right. So the average was $608 and some odd cents. Okay. Now, if you set these things up right, you can do a whole table quickly. Here, I just want to count up how many small, medium, large orders there were. So we could just do like a sum if. I want to count up the amount. So the amount, so we do equals sum ifs. Well, no, we just need a sum if. We just need a singular here. So the range comes first. Okay, yeah. Sometimes they put the range first, and sometimes they put the numeric range first. They're not consistent. All right, so anyway, here. I'm looking, again, what do I want? Oh, the size, the range would be the size, like that. And then my criteria would be the cell to the left of that. And then the sum range is the amount for each one of those orders, like that. And we know, okay, so now I'm going to show you another trick here this morning. This first range, we're going to be using over and over. We're going to use this in all these other formulas, so we don't want it to drift down as we copy the formula down. So we need to put a dollar sign in front of each one of those coordinates. Now, there's a quick trick here. Highlight the whole thing, and then just push the F4 key on the top row there where it says F4. And it'll automatically put a dollar sign in front of each coordinate. So you don't have to waste a lot of time going through doing that, okay? And then do the same for the sum range. Again, just highlight the whole thing, and just push F4, and you're done. And then just say, okay. And now we should be able to copy that formula down. And we did. We can do that sort of stuff, okay? All right. One last quirk. We'll skip that one here. Dates. Dates work a little bit differently. You can use this, there's this function here, this date value function, where you put a date, if you do a date in quotes like that, it'll automatically convert it to the right day. It'll store it as the number of elapsed days since January 1st, 1900. If you don't like that format, there's another function called date, where you give it the three components of the date string as arguments. It goes year, month, day. It'll also convert it into the number of elapsed days since January 1st, 1900. Okay. So either one of those functions works there. And then down here, you have to do it like this. You have to say counting of criteria, and then I want to, how many orders came in before a certain date. So then in quotes, I put the Boolean operator, and then the ampersand, which says I want to add to that string. That's the string concatenator. Just simply says create a bigger string out of this. And then it just grabs this date value here, and I did the same thing in the next one down there. So you can do this sort of stuff like this. Okay. If you're messing around with dates and stuff like that, or if you just want to, okay, we'll leave it at that. I don't want to give you too much information since I'm out of time. Questions about this stuff here? Okay. So on the next sheet, P1, it's your turn. There's a series of questions over here, and use the various counting of averages and so on to answer the questions. All right. So start on that.